tell me about each of you guys, your background, if you're from Baltimore, anything like that.
Okay, I can start, I guess. So I'm Valeria. So I come from Venezuela. I started illustrating since I can remember, I guess. But I came to the U.S. for my undergrad, and I drew all the time, and I did animation, but I always drew. And I came to Baltimore for my graduate program, which is in illustration. And that's when I started getting into illustrating food, and that's how my thesis came up, and I guess that's how I got here, Like, just after that, it just sort of everything started relating to me drawing food and working around it.
I'm from Baltimore. I grew up in the country, like 45 minutes north of here. So I moved to Baltimore City in my 20s and started working in nonprofits. So I've worked in nonprofit development, fundraising for 20 plus years. Started my food blog about 5 years ago. Learning to cook really is how I started and why I wanted to do it. Mostly project cooking, like bread and pasta and how to roast chickens and all kinds of things. So things I never knew how to do, which was kind of crazy because I was in my 30s. And then the restaurant scene in Baltimore changed a lot the last few years, so my cooking blog quickly morphed into a restaurant, eating out blog.
Very cool.
Yeah.
My name's Jon Zerivitz, born and raised in Baltimore. I left town to go to college, and eventually, after taking some time off, returned to Baltimore to get my degree at Towson. I got a degree in writing, actually, and as a typical English major, had no clue what I wanted to do. At the time, I just started becoming interested in beer from all over the world, but I was also really interested in visual design, and had been collecting art prints for a long time, mostly like concert posters, started there and then into art prints. And that led me into a little bit of an education in becoming a graphic designer, which led to a career in graphic design, which I had for about 7 years, both freelance and then a corporate design job. And through that time, did not feel satisfied in my career, knew it kind of really wasn't for me, enjoyed parts of it, but not other parts of it. And so I turned more to beer and brewing beer in my basement, home brewing, as a creative outlet, away from the computer, away from the 9 to 5. And had always had a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, and that led me to wanting to start this company. So me and my two partners, Adam Benish and Kelvin Bulluck, got together and wrote a business plan and started Union Craft almost 3 years ago.
I think. Great. So collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you in terms of food? You guys are all types of foodies, into drinks that go with food.
Yeah.
What exactly, how do you relate to collaboration in terms of that?
I think for us, in the brewing world, we didn't invent the idea of doing collaboration brews, which I think is where it can kind of start for us. So in the craft beer world, it's a very sort of fraternal brotherhood almost. It's often viewed as sort of the craft breweries versus the big mega corporate Goliaths. And so because of that, you often see breweries coming together, to kind of hang out and share ideas, and the result is a collaboration brew. And so that sort of started to proliferate a few years ago. So right when we opened, we reached out to DC Brow, who had just opened a year before us, and were kind of very generous with sharing information on the startup process, so we did a collaboration brew with them. Soon after, we did a collaboration brew with Brewers Art right here in Baltimore, and Stillwater Artisanal. So doing collaboration brews is just sort of one way of using collaboration as not only a marketing tool, but sort of showing solidarity in the industry. And then outside of that, we wanted to be this community-oriented brewery, so we looked out and saw the burgeoning food scene in Baltimore, and wanted to be a part of that as well. So it was real easy for us to reach out to startup restaurants, food trucks, whatever we saw that we liked and felt camaraderie with, we'd reach out to and try and make something better.
Well, I've always been like a connector of people in general, so it's cool to me to connect a brewer with a restaurant chef or something like that. And I think just the Baltimore food scene is so collaborative and everyone's working together. I think the restaurants who are not collaborating are really missing out. So I like to show them what they're missing, not in an overt way, but like, really you should work together because it helps everybody and it helps Baltimore. And my whole thing is it's not about me, it's about Baltimore.
I think that's one of the things that I learned by being here. Not that I learned, but that I just love about the city and that I kind of realized as I went along. For me, collaboration in food starts with collaborating with my mom and my grandma, making dinner or making, Sunday lunch. And that's sort of what made me do what I do. It's sort of like how to bring that, which I love to do, into my line of work. Because I'm not a cook, I don't own a restaurant or a brewery, but I do like making everything that surrounds the food, making the plate or making everything about it, making the moment happen with objects or things that I create.
Yeah, because you have hand towels,
Yeah.
dish towels,
So it's sort of the whole thing started with me talking about creating a community through food, and how by being an immigrant, as my grandparents were, creating a home for myself with people that weren't my family but became my family through cooking for them or cooking with them and sharing my food with them. And it was all about, creating the dishes that I would serve the food with. So they would have messages like cook with love or thank the cook or things that were really simple. Or I have one that says it's the simple things, because it is about the simple things. And with cooking, it's definitely about that. And with sharing and collaboration is definitely about that. It's just about that thing that you connect with that person with.
Yeah.
And it's that little thing, and that explodes when you find someone you really connect and can collaborate with. That's just a wonderful moment. It just sparks, and it's there, and it's great. And I feel like Baltimore is a great place to do that. And the more you find people, it's like this crazy chain reaction that you find one person and then that person connects to another one, and then it's just wonderful.
Do you guys see a balance in collaborating and competition though? Because competition is healthy as well.
Yeah.
And obviously you want to succeed in your industry. How do you make collaborating work with also being successful in your business or allowing others to, blossom in theirs?
I think, well, for me, collaboration is not necessarily only about you collaborating with someone else. It's about connecting the right people to connecting the right people with the right collaboration, if that makes sense. Like sometimes someone approaches me with a project and I'm like, I love the project, but I don't think I'm the right person for it, but I can connect you to another designer that would be, the right fit for your project. And it's more about that than it is, and that it is about finding, that spot for myself to make myself look good, or to do this, or to have that competition. And it is healthy to have competition, but I do love what other designers do, or what other people who work with food do, but sometimes I'm not the right fit for them. So creating a space for everybody, there is space for everybody. And sometimes, it does get stale maybe, and it's kind of like what in acting would be like typecasting, like, oh, you can only do this, so let's do only this. I feel like, you can break out of that by, either connecting other people with the job, or you saying to them, hey, how about we go in this direction? Let's explore other ideas.
Or split the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I think, or for me, it works that way. I think.
What about you guys? Because there's so many new breweries coming around. I feel like it's a good thing.
Yeah, so in beer, it's, like I said, we're all brothers, but at the same time on this, craft level, there's only so many tap handles, there's only so much shelf space, and there's hundreds of breweries opening. So it is competitive, and it's getting more competitive, but I think the collaboration aspect, in a way, actually sharpens our competitive edge, because it allows us to reach out of what we do every day and learn some new skills and take on some new projects that we might not have done in our sort of safe box. And then we can bring that back, into the company and use that for future projects, to help us gain whatever kind of edge we can. So I think it's not mutually exclusive collaboration and competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And me as a consumer,
what's your
I
observation?
think it makes you look like a nice person. I mean, as simple as that. If you're a nice person, I want to support you. And there are a lot of chefs and brewers maybe who don't collaborate, and I don't get to know them because they don't collaborate with someone I know. And I think it's a matter of A, reaching to audiences, and B, like helping each other out.
Right.
It's just very simple. It's smart.
So it seems like we definitely have 3 very different backgrounds, which makes for a great talk for collaboration on Friday. So do you guys know what you guys are going to talk about? What you want to discuss?
I think overall, we will talk about our ideas on how to approach collaborations, what works, what doesn't, which I think is pretty valuable. And then I guess where that all sits in Baltimore and in the food scene, and what our 3 different backgrounds bring to that topic.
Yeah.
I had a baking business for a couple of years that was pretty successful. So successful I had to stop doing it because I just couldn't keep up. So it'd be interesting to see, because I've collaborated with other food people, with other food producers, like Mouth Pretty Caramel and Michelle's Granola, and we have a women's business group of people who all own their own business, and they're all food-related businesses. And I'm still in the group because I'm a food writer. And I've gotten a couple clients, just, small projects here and there from those people, because they know me, they trust me, I know what I'm talking about, and B, I want to help them, so it's perfect on both sides. But the food thing is hard because, say you make the same kind of food as somebody else. I've seen it, and I'm not going to say what kind of food, but there are 2 people who make the same kind of thing, and one is sort of being like, yay, everybody's great, and the other one's like, well, we don't do that because we believe blah, blah, blah. So they're sort of bashing the other one without saying it, and they're being very sort of passive-aggressive about it, and I'm like, that doesn't work. Don't do that. It makes you look like a jerk. I don't want to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's a win-win collaboration to me in food in Baltimore, especially a town as, we're a small city.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go to.
It's easy to, being from here, it used to really bug me that everywhere I go, I run into somebody I know. Like, oh my God, I'm just gonna go to the grocery store. I want to go to the grocery store and just be left alone. I just want to buy my stuff and get out, and they're like, hey, how are you? I'm like, oh, hi. And then that person ends up introducing me to somebody who hires me a month from now. So shut up. Just shut up. So.
I feel like that's one of the things that I love about Baltimore, which sometimes sounds kind of weird, but it reminds me of my hometown. That close sort of knit relationship with everybody in the city. Yeah. And it's what Jon was saying is, it's a lot about how you approach it. Collaboration is different with everybody that you do it with. It's just if it's another designer, or if it's someone you do with food, or if it's with a corporation, it depends. Yeah, I guess the way you approach it is always different, but you give out your tools. In a talk like this, I feel like you would give out what you think everybody would need to know about it, and hopefully inspire them to do it and not be scared, because it can be scary, especially sharing your ideas with someone. I feel like some people, not only sharing your ideas, but being in a position where you're working with someone, and if you're very guarded with your work, you're like, oh, but I wouldn't do it the same way, oh, I don't like the way you did this. And I feel like communication, let's establish, the parameters of the collaboration as soon as you go in, and, let's make the best out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that would be definitely.
I have somebody that I'm about to start working with, and they kind of want me to submit some ideas, some very specific ideas about a project that they're working on. Who would work well in this space? Who do you think? And I'm kind of I really want to tell them all my ideas?
Right.
This is new to me. I don't know how to do this. So I'm thinking well, here's my price. Here's the proposal, and here's a general idea of what I think. How do you, that's one thing I'll be like, hey audience, what should I do?
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's collaborate.
We are learning the exact same lessons about how much to share, when to share it. I mean, that's all part of the process of learning how to effectively collaborate and keep your best interests at heart. So, not all collaborations succeed, and you don't always feel great when they're done. But I think that having a open and collaborative outlook on things is a path to success.
Collaboration, I guess what I'm getting from you guys is that it definitely opens you up more creatively.
For sure.
To
Absolutely.
think more outside the box.
Definitely.
Yeah, especially when you have people that you trust with your work or with what you're doing. I feel like that's sort of the way that I felt when I was in grad school with all these 15 people that I was like, I admired them, and they, like, I knew their work and they knew mine. So whatever they said about my work, it was meaningful. It wasn't coming out of like any bad place or any just like, it wasn't just like an offhand, just like comment like, oh yeah, it looks good. It's like they always gave you good advice. And that's amazing collaboration. Like, you can turn around and just ask another artist or ask a person who really knows about it and tells you, what's what, like if it's wrong or if it's good. Because sometimes you need to hear the criticism, like you need to hear the bad stuff too.
Absolutely.
And I
For
don't
sure.
like it when people are just like, oh my God, it looks great.
Right.
And I'm like, how about you tell me when it doesn't look good? Like what you don't like. Because I would rather
And
work
that
on
develops
that.
trust.
Absolutely.
Trust is so important because, I don't know, I'm working with the craft services director for House of Cards because a couple of my friends work on the show. And he wrote me and said, like, hey, what about some food trucks? So it's kind of cool that I can connect somebody that I really like their food to somebody I already know is going to help them. It could get them publicity that they never would get before. I don't know if it'll work out at all. But if I can help them, that's what I'm happy to do. Because if you know that they have a good product, you can help the person who needs the food to feed their actors and their crew, and then it helps the caterer or the restaurant or whoever, and then you get the good feeling that you helped them.
Absolutely.
I think that's really a big part of it for me.
I agree with that.
So let's do something fun.
More beer.
What's your favorite? We're gonna talk about food now. So what's your favorite meal and drink pairing?
Steamed crabs and Union Craft Brewing.
You didn't have to say that.
Steamed crabs for sure.
Come
My
on.
favorite thing in the whole world is steamed crabs because it's my parents' backyard. It's my brothers and I around a picnic table laughing until we fall off the picnic bench. And there was never beer, so.
Collaboration to get all those crowds.
And for me, that's with any meal. That's my favorite part of any meal is the people around the table. As hokey and dorky as that sounds, food brings people together.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's I talked about this the first time we met here in the same table. I was talking about the word sobremesa, which means sort of like above the table or on the table, which is it's a word in Spanish that is the time that means the time that you share after a meal with the people you share the meal with. And I feel like that's the most important part to me. It's not necessarily what you have, because you can be having anything, tuna out of a can with, saltines and a glass of water with a friend, and you're just talking. And it's the camaraderie or the banter or whatever happens while you're eating, not necessarily the food itself. Like the food, it's more about the people you share it with than the actual food. Even though I love cooking. I love cooking, and that's a big part of the way I grew up. And sharing the kitchen with like 5 Italian women, and my favorite. It's not necessarily my favorite meal, but my favorite thing to do is so there's a specific time of year that tomatoes come in between May and June. That my grandfather used to bring about 60 to 70 crates of tomatoes into my grandmother's house, and we would all gather together and make tomato sauce for the whole year for everybody in the family. So everybody would have sauce all year round.
Awesome.
So it's just like, 5 women getting together and having this tradition of every year, you boil the tomatoes, you peel them, you make the sauce, you bottle them. And my grandmother had like really old Pepsi and like Sprite glass bottles, and she has that like little machine that puts the cap back on, so she has the bag with all the caps from like a long time ago. And all the like crates with all the bottles, and you know, we do that for a whole day.
Wow.
And that's a thing, you know, you start at 5 a.m. and you finish, you know, really late at night. But you share your food with your entire family for a full year, and that's like just like a magical moment to me.
That's
You're relating to food. I love it.
Do you have a glass of wine with that?
Oh, for sure.
Multiple glasses?
And you gossip all day long. You're just talking about food or whatever we're gonna eat
Yeah.
or whatever we're doing, and it's just nice. It's a great moment, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think for me, for favorite food and bev pairing, it could be either on the sort of more refined side, which would be for me like cheese and charcuterie and something really funky or sour. I love that. Or it could be something as simple as like a really good like corned beef sandwich and a Pilsner and a bag of Utz chips. I mean, I'm so happy in that space too. But I just have to touch on Valeria's Sobra de Mesa idea. I really think that is kind of like the core of like what this is all about, because in food and beverage, like no one likes to eat or drink alone, right? And so
Or
yeah.
in silence.
Right, or in silence.
Yeah.
Isn't it awful when you go to a table or you go to a dinner and they're like everybody just shuts up when the dinner comes in and you're just like eating and not talking and
Yeah.
you're like, oh.
Or you go into a party and there's no music. It's like, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Gets
just
awkward.
like that.
I make my friend like do it. I like text her and like, I'm coming in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Guess to be there in 30.
Yeah.
Do something. I don't care if it's John Mayer. Like, put that on. Do something.
Yeah.
Because it's like dead silence.
That's, yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, sharing food and drink, sharing ideas, they just lend themselves to each other. So.
And the big part of it, it's all about the experience,
Right.
which you
Right.
take
The experience
away
is
from
most
it.
important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
This is going to be the sickest creative morning ever. Amy's breakdance routine is off the hook.
This is on record, so you have to dance.
Yeah.
You have to dance. We'll start with some music,
Okay.
It has to be like the hammer.